God, these lights are hot. That's not nice to a military. Good morning, everybody. I have not gotten to stand up and talk yet, which is incredible. My name's Kara Colton. I have been working with the Energy Communities Alliance for 18 years now, which is crazy because I'm about 21. I hope you all had a really good evening. I have to say, somebody asked me once, what's the key to community engagement? And I think for me, my years of working, I would say you just have to like people. If you like people, that's a great start. And last night, got to hang out with everybody, had a great time. I hope you all also got to meet some folks and enjoy yourselves here in Idaho Falls. I am super excited about our next panel, but a couple of quick housekeeping things. A few of you have asked whether participants lists are going to be available. We are going to make those available along with all of the slide decks that we've had here. That's probably next week, and we have we'll also have the recording on the ECA YouTube webpage. All of that information will be shared with you so you can find it in case you don't remember what I just said. Our first panel this morning is not really a panel, it's a discussion that we're going to have with John Ashford, who is the supervisor of the town of Ashford, the home of the West Valley site in New York. Did I call you John Ashford?
I got a new last name. I kind of like it.
It's because my first boss was John Ashford.
Oh,
yeah, and
perfect.
You make it hard because you're from Ashford and your name's John. I had a good time last night.
That's good. We all did.
So he is going to be having a conversation with the chairman of the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, Chairman David Wright, who is, if you don't know him and you haven't had a chance to meet him, you must bum rush him because he is a wonderful human being, and we're thrilled to have him here. And just like we have seen some major developments for nuclear moving forward, I think he has also seen some major developments since he attended our very first ECA forum. And in the wake of being there, it turns out that they made him chairman. So amazing thing happened when you come to ECA meetings. Yesterday, we talked a lot about the nuclear ecosystem, and given Chairman Wright's career, I think you can really understand many of the perspectives of the different groups that make up the nuclear ecosystem. He has been a consultant working on policy development and communications on energy and water issues. He's been a member of the Advisory Council on the Bipartisan Policy Center's Nuclear Waste Initiative. He was a member, ex officio member, and chairman emeritus of the Nuclear Waste Strategy Coalition, which is an organization representing industry, state officials, local governments, tribes, and consumer advocates. And fortunately, ECA has had the pleasure of working with the Nuclear Waste Strategy Coalition for years, and we'll hear more from them, from their executive director later today. He served on the South Carolina Public Service Commission for 10 years, and as vice chairman and chairman during that time. He served as the president of the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. He also served as a member, we'll have 5 minutes left by the time I've gone through your resume. From 2011 to 2012, he was the president of the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners, as I said, NARUC. And before that, he served in one of our favorite positions as ECA. He served as an elected councilman, a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives, and most importantly, the mayor of Irmo, South Carolina. So based on that, we just kind of consider you an honorary ECA member, whether you like it or not, but definitely someone who has always made time for communities, and we are thrilled to have you here for this conversation. And John, thank you so much for doing this. I'm glad you're moving out of the redheaded stepchild role in New York. And hopefully we'll see some nuclear development happen there too for you guys. So with that, I will hand it over to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and talk with you this morning. West Valley Nuclear Services was CSF1, the first commercial reprocessing fuel licensed by the NRC. We're a little over 3 months into President Trump's second term, and in this short time, we've seen a number of new initiatives, talked a lot about those this week to reshape the federal government. What are your top priorities for the NRC this year and beyond? What should industry and the financial community expect going forward?
Well, first is do no harm, to take something from the medical profession. So before I answer the question, one, I want to thank Kara for the invitation to come and to be here. I try to make time to come to this meeting as often as I can. I see in the audience, we've got Katrina McMurrian, who I've worked with for years as a commissioner, and her as the executive director of the Nuclear Waste Strategy Coalition. You got a lot of NARUC friends that are here. Y'all can wave your hands out there. And then obviously I've got friends from South Carolina, Amy Boyette here, a good friend. And my chief of staff, Suzanne Dennis, is here as well. So you can bum rush her if you need to. So President Trump, I actually got the call that the president wanted to appoint me as chair on the day before the inaugural at 4:45 in the afternoon. And the person that called me said the president wanted to be sure it was okay if he did that. And I said, is it okay? Yes, of course, I'd love to do it. I would be honored. And so when I knew that I was going to be asked questions like this, what are your priorities for the NRC going forward? And I have three that are the initial priorities, and then we're expanding from that. And the first is the people of the agency. There's a lot of concern about workforce, and are they going to cut people, RIF people? They're asking people to early retire or to resign and stuff like that. And the people who took those early outs, quite honestly, were going to retire anyway at some point here very soon. So we were going to have to go through that at some point, right? And so we were going to have to identify who those people were. Was there a delta that was creating in things that we needed, either license reviewers or some technical area that we were losing experience in? And then as the chair, I need to be the calm one and to let them know everything's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And I got your back. I'm going to be working up, supporting you, make sure that you have what you need. And we've done that. Even as we sit here this morning, we've done that. The second thing is the mission of the NRC. And we've always had a safety mission. That is not going to change. Safety is our, strike zone over home plate. It's our North Star that we stay focused on. So that's not the issue, right? The issue with us is process, right? And the Advance Act would be the third thing that I'm focused on, and that's going to be those things that we need to change within the agency that actually align and keep us from being a roadblock to ourselves. So if we're aligned on the technical side of stuff, I don't want our general counsel to be the roadblock, saying, no, you can't do that because some word in some regulation from 50 years ago says we have to do it a different way. Well, today's a different time. We need new precedents. We need, we've got to adapt to what's happening today. And, we've only done light waters, big ones, and they've all been one of a kinds, first of a kinds, So each one is kind of its own little snowflake. Today, industry's looking at doing things more standardized and template. And, we've got to align our processes so that we can get things through the system and out the door because results are what people are looking at. So the Advance Act is really, really big. And the first thing that we had to do there was to redo our mission statement.
I'll jump to that then. The Advance Act passed with bipartisan support, directing you to take a number of actions around licensing of advanced reactors. How is implementation of that going, and what impact do you see in the revised NRC mission statement?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. So the mission statement, when Congress passed the Advance Act, and this was not a surprise that it was coming. We knew 3-4 years ago that this was coming because they talked about it, right? They started this conversation 5, 6, 7 years ago under NEMA, and before that with another policy thing that the Congress wanted you to do, and before that even. But they got really serious about 5 years ago saying, The NRC is going to have to modernize. They're going to have to become more efficient. They've got to start getting some of these designs through and out. Now, our mission statement was always about safety, and it was always about protecting the public and the environment, okay? But we do a whole lot more than that. And it's hard if all they read in a mission statement is that, then they get pigeonholed and siloed within the agency, and they get stuck, right? Because they're afraid to think outside the box or to try to be bold. So the new mission statement, which I'm going to read to you, or at least it'll be a really good paraphrase. It does several things, and I'm going to hold a finger up for each key word, okay? So we continue to protect public health and safety. That's our mission. But we advance the nation's common defense and security by enabling the safe and secure use and deployment of nuclear technologies and radioactive materials through efficient and reliable licensing, oversight, regulation for the benefit of society and the environment. Because a lot of times we got into the whole safety discussion, and people say, well, you can't do this because it's not good for the environment. Well, a lot of these designs that we're coming up with now, they actually are beneficial to the environment. And we need to be able to have our people work toward that goal. So by advancing, enabling the safe and secure use and deployment of nuclear, and again, in a safe way, that should be what we should be doing. And that's what we were originally charged with when we were formed under the AEA back in the 50s. And we got away from we're not promotional, and we don't consult. And by promotional, we don't pick winners and losers, right? That's DOE's job. Mike Goff has got that job, okay? But that doesn't mean we don't play in that space, right? We have to, in order for these technologies to get to market, we got to enable it, through safe and secure reviews and oversight and inspection. So the mission statement is the biggest single thing that's happened since I've been a commissioner, and I would argue that it's probably the biggest single thing that's happened in the agency in decades, because it's going to set the stage for everything going forward. And everything that the Congress is wanting for us is going to start right from that mission statement.
In the 3 months in your term as chairman, how are your perspectives as a former utility council member and former mayor influencing you in your duties?
Well, I will tell you, as the CEO of the agency, the fact that I served as a mayor and as chairman of the South Carolina Public Service Commission, which is a public utility commission, that executive training that you get, that you're the one that it's not that you're any better than anybody else, but the buck stops with you. So how you behave, how you answer, it comes right down to your demeanor. The people that work for you, you need to inspire them, you need to empower them, you need to show them that it's okay for them to do, and that you're not going to be poking them in the eye or looking over their shoulder, and which makes them afraid to perform. We're all going to make mistakes. My team makes mistakes, but we talk. We try to only make it one time. We learn from it. We grow and we go. And then I encourage them and I empower them to do things. And quite honestly, it's people in my office that get asked to go do other things. They get hired by NEA in Paris, or they get asked to be directors or chief of staffs of other offices, because people are looking for good people. So I try to make sure that happens. And you learn that from being a mayor.
Absolutely.
And so that, to me, being a mayor was probably the biggest, early in my career, one of the things that really laid a foundation for me. The legislative experience I got as a House member for 8 years, I use that today because we have an agreement state program in the country, and we got 40 agreement states, and or we'll have soon. I know how that process works, and I can go to an agreement state and I can meet with their peers. I can meet with their governor, their chief of staff, the governor's chief of staff. I can meet with their secretary or their cabinet level person and support that agreement state program in ways they can't support themselves. And I can help them with, hey, you guys you're not paying enough. You're getting people poached from your state to go to other states and look what you're doing. You're training them for 3 years and then some other state's stealing them because you're not paying them enough. Y'all need to look at your salary structures, or you're not valuing your health physicists the way you should. And so it's those things. That legislative thing really helped me with a lot. And I use it every day. I use all of this every day.
As we've heard over the last day and a half here, the nuclear industry is at a pivotal moment, and demand for energy is rising. Companies are looking for nuclear energy to provide the power. Whether it's restarting nuclear reactors, updating our existing fleet, or building advanced reactors, the NRC looks like it's going to be busy over the next coming years. How are you preparing for that flood of applications?
Well, we can handle it now.
Oh, good.
We've got the expertise inside the agency that can get done what's going on right now. And let me just give you the 30,000-foot view of what is happening at the agency right now. We have 22 people, vendors, potential applicants, who are engaged with us in some form of early engagement. 22. Of the 22, only 4 have active applications in front of us. 2 of those, new scale, they will be done in June. They'll have their license, and that'll be the second one they've gotten from us. You've got Kairos that has gotten 2 approvals from us, and they're turning dirt in Tennessee at Oak Ridge right now. You've got TerraPower, that's Bill Gates' thing in Kemmerer, Wyoming, that is 2 months ahead of schedule, and they will finish at least 2 months ahead of schedule in their review. We've committed to that. And then the fourth one is someone who just filed with us about 3 weeks ago, and that is Dow and X-Energy, building 4 of their units at the Dow facility. I think it's just outside of Houston, if I remember right. But they've been in early engagement with us, and I think that if the agency will follow what the commission has requested them to do, we're looking 18 months, maybe 24 months at the max to get that through the review process and get that license in action done. So we're getting things done. We are moving ahead. The NRC's not the problem. That's what I'm saying. What the problem is the money. Okay, the funding is going to be the problem, and how that comes, that's not our job, right? That's going to be Mike Goff and DOE, or maybe working with Wall Street, working with some of the hyperscalers that are coming. How do you construct? All right, I'll get to something else on that in a second. The other 18 of those 22 are still in early engagement, but if you look at the ones that are coming, they're coming in 26, 27, 28, 29. So it's a waterfall of applications that are coming. Will we be ready in 27? Because we're going to have to double our reviewers probably every couple of years in order to keep up. Right now, we think we can do that using a core team approach, a tiger team approach, project management approach. We think we can do it, but but we're still trying to recruit and identify. We've protected our new onboards. Our probationary people did not get let go like other agencies. We only lost 2. We had 110, I think, took the early out, but those were people late in their career. They could go at any time, right? So we're going to be able to do that. Now I have an idea. and I'm going to talk to DOE. I've already started it. I'm going to talk to DOD as well. I'd like to see if maybe the NRC could do some kind of a joint, like, cooperation agreement. And we're not going to build 20 of these things until we build one. And so what I want to do is work. DOD right now they've down selected to like 8, right? I don't care which of the 8 they pick, personally. Doesn't matter. Because at the NRC, we don't promote, we don't consult. We got to be ready for all comers. I don't care who it is. They want to come, whether they're getting federal money or not. We got to be ready to review them, and we will be. But in the interest of national security, getting a data center powered with a microreactor behind the grid, maybe here in Idaho, maybe at the Dome, with whoever they pick. Let's show them that we can do it in a year or less. Let's show them we can get one done. Let's show them we can get one done. If we get it done right, when that one's licensed or certified, I would want that license to be transferable to the public sector so they could go to scale in the public sector, which means as we're doing the review with DOD and DOE, we're creating the guidance and the rule package that you would need in order to do it in the commercial space. I know that there's been talk of a part, what is it, 58? Yeah, something like 58, 56, something like that, which would be micro-reactor centric. So maybe a micro is what we show we can do. And I think, quite honestly, if we show we can do one of any kind of reactor like this, the market I think it'll loosen up. And people will say, oh, it can be done. Oh, they can do it quicker, you know? And it will also demonstrate that we're not the problem, right? Now, maybe years ago, we were the problem, a lot more than we want to admit, because everything was a first of a kind. This one's not the same. Having said that, there are 2 areas. We're working on the safety review. We're tightening that down. And we've made lots of progress on getting the safety review done quicker. What hasn't moved is the environmental review. And for the life of me, and my public utility friends who are here from commissions would probably agree with this, I don't know why the NRC needs to know a utility's need for power. If a utility knows they need to build something for power, that's a boardroom decision they need to make. Now, maybe a public utility commission might need to have an answer to that question. I don't know. But not the NRC. And that's part of NEPA, okay? The second part of NEPA that I think is we need to kind of have Congress help us with is, why does a utility need to demonstrate to the NRC that they've looked at alternative siting? You know, if a utility's picked a site and that site passes muster, they should be able to build there. You know, I mean, to prove that alternative siting stuff, that's time and money. And it's not safety significant at all. We're a safety agent. Why do we need to know that, right? So these are things that I hope that we're going to be able to address, and Congress is going to help us with too.
You play an important role in supporting international markets through licensing actions and international collaboration. From the industry perspective, we're seeing growing interest in U.S. advanced reactors from the international market as well. Yeah. Are you seeing the same trend on the regulatory side? And what are the activities you're engaged in that we should all be following?
On the international front?
Yeah.
So the international front is something that's really exciting. And if you haven't been paying attention, let me share a little bit with you. So in the last couple of years, I've gone to Romania, Poland twice, Bulgaria, Armenia, Kenya, Ghana, and I went to Kenya and Ghana with Mike Goff, who's in the room. Where else have I been? Let's just say that's the big ones. 3 years ago, they would have told me, we want to build U.S. plants, designs. We want to build them here in our country, but we want them built in the U.S. first. Now, that was a problem, right? Because there wasn't anybody here to build anything. Last year, when I was in Bulgaria and in Armenia, I heard, and also in Poland, this is what I heard. We'll be the first to build a design in our country, but we want it to be certified or licensed by the NRC. And that's a big change, but it also speaks to the urgency that these countries are placing on their energy security and their national security because of their dependence on foreign sources, especially Russian gas. So one of the things that I got done late last year, was I got Rev 19 of the AP 1000 that was built at Unit 4 in Georgia. We got the design certification done for that. So now they can sell that anywhere. And it is a licensed U.S. design. And it can be built standardized wherever they want to go, right? So we need to do that with other things. NuScale will have theirs here soon, and they can go wherever. So next is going to be when people come with their applications, we need to be sure we can get them through the process, and we've committed to try to do it in 18 months if they've been involved with us early, and we've gotten topical reports, gotten the big stuff out of the way, answered. Is there anything new and novel, or is there something that we don't understand or they don't know how to get? And instead of playing hide the rock with these people, maybe we know the answer, but we don't share it. That's how we've done it in years gone by because we don't consult. Now we don't hide the rock. We can tell them, hey, in order for us to make a decision, here's what we need. I don't care how you get it. I don't care what you have to do to get it, but you got to provide us this information, right? Answer these questions. And instead of telling them, before, that's not the right answer. Well, what's the question? You can figure it out. You got attorneys. That's what we used to do. Now, we need to be, we're all in the same sandbox. We're all the same team. We have different missions in that national goal, but we're now part of a real national security interest, and it's also a global security interest, and we need to play our part and do it well. So that's a long way of answering your question, but international is very important.
Good answer. This coming surge of advanced reactor projects is also going to increase workforce issues as people are retiring out and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
As that market tightens, preserving existing talent, attracting new talent is going to be a challenge. How is the NRC approaching its staffing needs and future workforce development? And is there anything industry can do to encourage that next generation to pursue a career in nuclear energy?
Well, I think we're addressing it now. I don't think anybody's been really good about it over the last 15 years or so, especially I think over the last 5 or 6 years, people have gotten more aware of, the need and what's coming. But let's be real about it. Nuclear wasn't an area people wanted to get into because they thought it was a dying area, right? They weren't building anything. They, hadn't built plants in 30 years. They were getting older. There wasn't, it wasn't the excitement, right? We started losing health physicists. That was one of the things that really, and if you can't measure dose, you're not going to build a plant. Okay, you're certainly not going to run one, right? So now, working with other groups, working with universities, working with governors' offices in different states. Idaho's working on it. I know Utah's involved in working on it. Colorado's trying to work on it. South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, Virginia. They're using their university systems, their tech school systems to try to address particular needs. And quite honestly, it's not all nuclear engineers. We need nuclear engineers. We need mechanical engineers. But you know what else we need? We need accountants. We need admin people. We need craft labor. We need welders. We need people who can hammer and nail. We need, we need every skill set you can bring. You need security guards. Mm-hmm. So there is something for everyone to do, and in the nuclear space, it pays pretty doggone good, right? So I think that once we get started building one and show that we can get it done. I mean, you saw interest when Vogtle happened, right? and you've got companies out there, the money's lining up with the need, and the people who want to build it are out there as well, and they're trying to answer the call. And not all of them are going to make it. They're not all going to make it, but if only 25% of the ones come, holy cow, that's a lot, you know? And the need for power is just getting bigger every day, right? So nuclear is the only one that can answer that. You know, we have a need for all of it, but nuclear can do it a lot quicker and cover a whole lot more ground very, very fast.
I think we have 1 minute. We could do a couple audience questions then.
Yes, sir. Hot dog. So I will, Suzanne, what was it, about 4 months ago? I went to, on my day off, I went to VC Summer and I walked the warehouses that are for 2 and 3, or for 3 and 4, 2 and 3. They're all climate controlled. Everything that is in there is racked and stacked and cataloged and numbered and maintained. The 4 diesels are being maintained. The 2 heads are covered in there. They're right there in perfect condition. The turbines for both units are there. Every component needed to finish both those plants on site in about 80 different warehouses on those 2 sites. I had heard, anecdotally, maybe y'all heard the same thing, that they'd sold off a lot of stuff. Well, they haven't. They sold off a couple of reactor coolant pumps, but they've got enough of those. So if someone wants, and I know the governor wants to finish one or both of them, I know Santee Cooper would like to do it too, I'm sure of it. I know they did an RFP. They've got people who are answering that RFP. There's some serious people there. And I believe that if there's a way to finish them, they're going to do it, right? And we, just so you know, they gave their license up, right? They turned it in. But we can answer the call there too, and we know how to reinstitute or reconstitute that license. There's a process, but we can help there. You know, we'll do our part. Yeah.
One more question?
Anybody? Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Francis on City Council here in Idaho Falls, but my question is this, because I hear 2 things. When I write to Congressman Simpson about NRC, and you're saying that there's whoa, that was different.
Good morning.
You're saying that we can get by with the staff cuts that came in the retirements, and yet at the same time I'm hearing you say you need more staff and more funding. Which message should I give to Congressman Simpson?
So they're both true. So right now, the people who are before us in early engagement are having to do it they're doing it under Part 50, or a combination of doing 50 or 52. And they're doing it through exemptions. We have the reviewers in place that are doing the job right now. We lost people, and here's the other part. One of the beauties of the NRC is if you come to work at the NRC, you can rotate around. You can spend 3 years doing license reviewing. You can move into rulemaking. You can go in. You could become a resident inspector. You could do whatever, and then so you're cross-training. So we have people who could fill certain roles who are in other parts of the agency. So if we need more reviewers, we've got people who are qualified to do that if, once the time comes, and we can reorganize. We've kind of got, our EDO, Morella Gavrelis, has got that cataloged, right? Now, having said that, yes, we're losing people, and we're losing at about 6% a year, right? And we have 20% of our people or better who are at retirement age now. Got just as big a crew that are probably within 5 years of that. So we're going to have to hire to replace and build our own people. And it takes about 3 years to train someone up. But you're training them up with one thing lacking, and that's experience, right? Because experience comes over time. So we try to expose them to what we need to first, and so we're trying to identify that talent early in the process, and then so they're both true. As things grow, the agency will grow too, because the need will be there, right? And Congress will see that. This isn't just a bipartisan effort in the Congress. It's overwhelmingly bipartisan. 90% or better of both houses. Amazing. And we heard it loud and clear. I knew it before that. So it's up to us now to show them, proof's in the pudding. Yeah. So we're going to make pudding.
All right. Well, I think we're out of time. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you so much. It's good to see most of y'all in here. I don't know all of you though.
Good talk.
If we can go ahead and get the next panel up on stage, please. Thank you.